Well, Peter, thank you so much for being here today. I'm really, really excited to talk to you. So we were just talking a little bit about kind of a new program that you've started and what you're doing right now. So tell me a little bit about what you're teaching and what you're doing at this moment.
There is a whole new way to rise in the beauty industry. LEAD, Rolf's Global Institute, powered by L'Oreal Professional Products Division, is the world's first college degree program for beauty professionals. LEAD is higher education designed to expand your opportunities and open doors to greater success. Create a future with more financial freedom, more autonomy, more possibilities, and more impact. LEAD also provides scholarship opportunities to eligible students worldwide. It's more than a degree, it's a movement. This is where the future of beauty is headed. Be part of it. For more information, please visit leadinstitute.degree.
Yeah, so the program is called the Freedom Project. And really the emphasis behind it for me was, during the shutdown and COVID, I had a lot of free time on my hands. And I really wanted to sort of think back and ask myself the question, what are the key principles or what has been the key strategy for me for all these years that has, led to the success of our salons and our individuals. And so I came up with this project called the Freedom Project. It was really about teaching people how to get free of the limiting beliefs they have in their head that hold them back, and then how to apply that energy and that enthusiasm to growing their income and ultimately to building wealth. Because I think, we all want to start well in life, but I think it's important that we finish well as well. And I know throughout my career in the industry, that hasn't always been true for a lot of salon owners or a lot of salon professionals. And so that's a real passion of mine, is coaching and mentoring young people and really helping them to see their potential, but more importantly, to develop the habits that will allow them to actually realize on that potential.
Yeah, the sooner the better, right? Is what we're been told to start planning. I think that we get so excited when we're young to be like, okay, we're making money now. We finally have it. But thinking so far down the road, what we know is that farther down the road comes very quickly. And so having that plan from the beginning makes it easier. So you're not 40 years old saying, what do I do now? What am I supposed to do? I think that starting your career off with a plan, when you get that first job in the industry and you're like, okay, I'm budgeting and maybe I'm paying off student loan stuff. I mean, that's all a part of what you will factor into this. There is still a little bit that can go a long way in the long run. So I think it's really awesome to start this soon. So where can people find this? Where can people be connected with?
Yeah, so if they go onto our website, summitsalon.com, and they just look under trainings or programs, they will see the banner for the Freedom Project, and it will list all of the events that we're at.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I know we're going to be in Charlotte in the back half of the year, as well as in Tampa, Florida. And then the schedule for 2023 isn't quite out yet. Right?
Okay. Well, awesome. We'll definitely check that out. Now I want to kind of talk about you a little bit in your career in the industry. So what was your first initial exposure to the beauty industry? What was the first moment that you came in and you're like, okay, I'm a part of this now?
Yeah. So when I was in college, in graduate school, actually, I was a partner in a student consulting firm when I was like 22 years old. And I did some work for the local Redken distributor in our market. And so he introduced me to a barber who had started to open up back in those days. This was in the early 80s, men's and women's unisex hair salons.
Okay.
But he was struggling on the operational side of it. So when I came out of college, I accepted a position with him to help him grow his business. And then, so then I started opening my own salons. And 7 years later, I bought that company from him. And
so 7 years, you were like 29 when you first purchased?
Wow. So I was 29 at that point, and then 36 years old when I bought the rest of the business.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's young. That's a young start.
I was very young.
Yeah.
At the time.
What was it like coming into the industry? Do you remember being like, these are my people? These are like, what was it like at that time for you?
I'm a very analytical thinker, and my background is in finance. So it was a rude awakening.
Yeah, I was like a normal person coming into the industry.
I was like, everybody told me 1 + 1 always equals 2.
Yeah.
I realized that that's when you put emotion and passion into it, it's not always the case. So What I did that really connected me with people is I thought, how can I make a difference in this industry? And actually, the moment happened for me in Anaheim, California in 1985. And I remember it like yesterday. I was at a conference there, and Zig Ziglar was the keynote speaker.
Wow.
And he kept saying, you can have anything in life you want if you just help enough other people get what they want. And he said it over and over and over again. And all of a sudden, there was a moment, I can still see him on that stage, where I went, oh my gosh. This will be for me, the passion project is I'm not going to teach people how to cut hair or color hair because I don't know how to do it. But what I can do is teach young people habits that will ultimately lead them to more success. And so that became my passion, is just corralling the young people in our company, sitting down with them and saying, where are you? Where is it you want to go? And then how can I help you to get there? And so we really built a culture in our company, which is primarily focused on growing people. Mm-hmm. And cutting and coloring hair is really just the metaphor. And, so that's always been a passion of mine, and why I love this industry and the people in it, and why I'm sitting here today, really.
Yeah. I mean, it's taken you everywhere. You obviously had a lot of success in the industry doing that. So it is exactly what he said. The success came from helping others, which I think is awesome. You can say that worked and you did it. What kind of walk through what your career path has been? I know you've done different things with the company, but what I know, like meeting with people and growing salons, specifically kind of what has this path looked like? What different roles have you had throughout your career?
Yeah, so up until probably the early 80s, my primary focus was on growing the business back home. And then I made a strategic decision in 1994 or 95. We stopped opening salons because geographically it was going to be challenging for us to do that. And we basically took the concept or the intellectual capital and packaged it up and started going on the road and turning around other companies. And so we started in the distribution business in Toronto and helped a client out there. And then eventually I ended up in the United States working with a chain of salons on the East Coast, which is how I get introduced to L'Oreal or Redken in New York. And so from there, I've worked through L'Oreal with probably every major chain in the industry, from JCPenney's to Ulta to you name it. But my love has always been for the independent salon owner. So back in 2006, when Michael Cole and Randy started the summit, they approached me about becoming involved in that. So I became involved as a speaker and a trainer in 2006. And then in 2009, I became president of that company. And so that has been, a love of mine for the last, I guess it's been close to 14 years now, is really, putting together a format where we can go out and really make a difference for salon professionals and salon owners in terms of their career and their success. And so that's kind of where my life has been for the last 14 years, is, working with Summit, and then also still involved with our business at home.
Yeah. So one of the things that is happening in the industry right now is we have a lot of young stylists coming out of beauty school and really wanting to kind of make their own way and kind of jump in. I think a lot of people are jumping in without having somebody, something like Summit in place, or somebody like you to kind of help guide them. I think they're jumping in to waters that I don't know that they're as prepared for. Do you kind of see that being the case right now? A little different than maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Are there still as many people looking for this information, or is it more, I did it maybe not the right way, and now I'm looking? Is it coming more after a little bit of experience in the industry? Yeah,
we're seeing a lot of different trends out there. I think for sure, probably 75% of our labor force will be millennials by 2025. I have 4 of them at home. So, and they're very entrepreneurial. They're the smartest people on the planet. And I love their energy and their enthusiasm. But sometimes it's like, ready, jump, aim. And I think that's very prevalent. And then I think there's, on the back end, a lot of them struggle because they have the passion for it. They don't necessarily have a plan. I have this little, I don't know if you can see it, this little rubber bracelet on. It says passion plus purpose equals prosperity. So I think there's no question that, to me, passion is about loving what you do, and you have to love what you do. You're never going to work hard enough at it to be great at it. But I think most service providers have passion in spades. but they're not always on purpose. They're not always aware of the cause and effect relationships that really drive success in this industry. And so sometimes they learn it the hard way.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's really what our passion is at Summit is how can we shorten the learning curve for them? How can we set them up from day one and put them in a position where they're going to be more successful? Yeah.
What's that look like coming out of beauty school? Like, I know everybody has a different path and there's not just like one way, but if one of your kids were to go into beauty school right now, what would you recommend for them as their first year in the career, second year in the career? What's that look like for you? I know this is kind of on the spot.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm a big fan of what I call modeling. Okay. So I know throughout my life, whenever I wanted to learn something, there's two ways to do it. You can stumble around, you can go to classes, you can read, or you can go find somebody, a person who's already achieving what you want to achieve and get them to mentor you. And if they can't do it in person, they can do it through their seminars or their books or whatever. So for a young service provider, what I would say is find a really successful stylist that you believe in and then try and become an apprentice or an associate, get connected to that person, invest some extra time when you get out of school. And what you're there to learn is, yes, the technical side of it, but more so, how does that person communicate with clients? Why is it that they're retaining clients so easily? Because at the end of the day, we're in a relationship business. And, what I say to young people is, look, there's only two metrics that make up your success. One is how many guests sit in your chair, and the other is how much money they spend. And that's the reality of our business. And so there are people out there who do a lot of guests, don't charge a lot. They work really hard. There are some people out there who don't do as many guests and can charge a lot, and they're working really smart. So you have to decide what side of that equation you want to be on, because there's a different skill set. And then you need to go and pursue that and find mentors and people who can teach you it. So if you can get into a salon that has that kind of culture where they are mentoring young service providers, I think that's the very, very best thing that you can do. Yeah. And then at some point in the future, if you really want to do your own thing, you're going to be much better prepared to be successful at it.
When you say kind of going on to do your own thing, I think what that looks like for a lot of young stylists is that looks like making my own schedule, wearing what I want to wear, coming in. And that's the thing that in the beauty school that we're navigating right now. We're trying to figure that out. I think, everything that you're saying, I think to be true. And I think it's absolutely right. And I think that there's a lot of people that will find people on the internet and they'll be like, okay, I want to be like this person, but maybe they can't go work with them directly. I think the most important thing is working with them directly. I think, like you said, finding a mentor and being there through this is how I set up. This is how late I'm here. You've got to see the real picture. It can't just be what's on social media, because what's on social media, as we all know, is the pretty, the happy, the fun. But what you don't always see is the hard work that's going behind it.
100%.
So I really like that sentiment of like going into hands-on, be with somebody. What advice do you have for somebody that maybe is in that position right now and they are feeling a little stuck? Maybe they feel like they've been there a little too long. Is it to kind of find motivation to keep going? At what point is it like, okay, I need to break out? I've been following somebody, I've been working under somebody for an amount of time that I feel like is enough. How do you think somebody can kind of get through those moments? I think that's a feeling that a lot of people have.
Yeah. So I think we all have those feelings at different stages in our life. And I really see it, you need to do some self-reflection and say, okay, how's the story going to end? Like, in other words, this is where I am, but where is it I want to be in the future? And then if the path you're on is not going to get you to that place, then you need to make a decision and choose another path. But I think to choose another path for the sake of choosing another path, it could be possible that the path you're about to choose is actually going to take you further away from where you want to be than you think it is. Right. So I'm a big advocate of trying to put your mind in the future and saying, what do I want my career or my life to look like? And then am I on the path that's going to get me there? And if not, then maybe you have to make a different decision. But I think it's very clear, very important to understand what the outcome is you're looking for, because it's that old adage of be careful what you wish for. So yes, for example, I'm working in a salon. I'm working with somebody. maybe it's time for a change. Well, but maybe that change could be an opportunity to become part of the ownership or leadership team in that salon versus going out on my own. Which of those two is going to be better for me in the long run? I think that requires some thought and reflection, because there are pros and cons to both. So, when I go out on my own, yes, I have the independence, but I also have the responsibility. And at the end of the day, there is no passive income stream there. So if I'm not working, I'm not earning.
Right.
If I become part of a leadership team in my salon and eventually someday could go on to be an owner or a shareholder, there is a potential passive income stream there that in the long run makes my life easier. So there are pros and cons to both. And I think young people, sometimes they don't spend enough time thinking about not just the present, but what is going to be in their best interest in the long term. Right?
Yeah. Are you having these conversations with salon owners about changing mindset of bringing people on in leadership and ownership? Is that something that you're seeing salon owners across the country kind of being more open to, or are they coming to you like, I can't figure it out. Why is everyone leaving? And you're like, here's what, it's time for you to start thinking different.
So here's what's interesting is I started selling equity to service providers in my company in 1989. So I have been on this model for literally my entire career.
So how did you, what made you do that? What was it? Was it that, I want to keep them, so I'm going to give...
It was understanding very simply. I believe one of my core values is servant leadership. I believe I'm the least important person in my company. They're the most important because they actually produce the revenue. And so whenever I found somebody in my company that I believe, had the heart and the mind to be part of a leadership team, I've invited them to become owners at some level. Because number one, I knew if they're truly leaders, at some point they're going to leave. And I would rather have them working with me than working against me. And so I've been a believer in that my whole life. It's made my life easier because I don't have to be there. And the company still runs very effectively because we built a culture around a core set of values that we all believe in.
I think it's so smart that you did that. And I think it's really crazy that so long ago you did that, because I think that is something that right now is so important. I think that there, and not in such a negative way, but there is a lot of ego in this industry, right? And I think that, getting that in check a little bit, like I said, with salon owners, they want it to be theirs. They want to put their name on the building. They want it to be about them and all of that stuff. And I think I'll say that definitely 20 years ago, that was way more common maybe than it is now. But what does that conversation look like? Do you have resistance when you're telling them hey, here's what I think you need to do? Or are they pretty much I'm desperate at this point to keep my company afloat? Just tell me the secret.
So the conversation has shifted. So prior to COVID, we have an exit strategy that we teach. So we actually build exit strategies for salon owners. But I would say that for every 10 conversations, we were executing one strategy prior to COVID. Now, for every 10 conversations, we're doing 9 exit strategies. So in other words, I think what COVID did is it woke up a lot of those salon owners and made them realize how vulnerable they are. And now they're coming back to us and going, whoa, we should have taken your advice 3 years ago, but now we're ready to do that. And so we've never been so inundated with salon owners who are saying, look, it's time. I want to get people involved. I want to take some of the stress and the pressure off of myself. And I want to try to set this salon up for long-term success. Yeah. So the conversation
is really exciting though. Yeah. I mean, I think it's for me, I'm this is the best case scenario for, I'm definitely an advocate for students and I love this idea. And I hope that in, a couple of years, we're talking about it and we're wow, there's owners, there's equity. I think that these conversations are normal in other industries. I think it's maybe just, not for you, or I'm sure there's a lot of other people that have gotten this idea or listened when you said to do that. But I'm really excited about that. Do you have a plan set if people are okay, you know what? I'm a salon owner. I'm interested in this. I need to know how do you give away equity? You know what I mean? Or how does that, do you have that all set up in Summit?
Yeah, 100%. So what we do is we start with a business valuation. So we actually do a valuation of your business to tell you what we think it's worth. Then what we do is we'll sit with you and we'll talk about operationally, what would this look like? Who are the people in your salon company that you feel have earned the right to be a part of this? And then we build the math because it has to be affordable to the service provider. And so we will build either, a full exit, a partial exit. It could be over a 5-year period of time. It could be over a 10-year period of time. But the whole idea is that it's a manageable process for you and for them. And what really resonates well with salon owners is I try to explain to them, because you mentioned about ego, and we all know that that's present in our industry. But I say, look, at the end of the day, what's going to really make you feel well? Is it going to be you continuing to believe that you need to make all the decisions and ultimately leading to the demise of your business? Or is it you leaving a legacy? And so what the young people in your salon company possess that we no longer possess is the energy and the desire to do the work. Like, I'd love to believe I can work as hard as at my age today as I could in my 30s, but it's just not true. But I said, what you don't realize is what you possess is something very important that they're looking for. And that's wisdom, because they haven't taken the journey yet. And so if you can combine your ability to guide them through the trials and tribulations with their energy and enthusiasm to do the work, then you can hit a home run.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, as a 62-year-old entrepreneur, I've never had more demand on my time by young people. And what they want is they don't want me to tell them how to do it or what to do. They just want me to help them with the why, the wisdom, the inspiration.
Yeah. What
are the obstacles you're going to face? What are the disappointments you're probably going to encounter? How do you navigate through those obstacles, in your life, whether it's in business or not, or outside of business? And, they love it. And the other thing too, is I think we all have to get our heads around the fact that, as a baby boomer, I grew up in a generation where I watched my parents struggle. They watched their parents struggle. We all had one desire, and that was to do better than our parents because we didn't want to struggle.
Right.
A lot of millennial kids, they know more about tech. So we were always believing, like, our belief was we're going to learn from our parents and then carry on. But the truth is, my kids are going to forget more about technology than I'm ever going to learn. So my belief today is that it's a mutual relationship. They're teaching me about things I don't know and understand, and I'm teaching them about things they've never experienced.
Yes.
And together, it's a beautiful thing. But if you're a baby boomer and you're hanging on to the notion that they should be learning from you and that there's nothing you can learn from them, you're not going to create an environment or a culture that's conducive.
Yeah.
Because they're going to go, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm out of here. But so I think there's magic can happen in this environment.
Yeah.
But I think the old, baby boomer salon owners, we have to get our mind around the fact that we have something to learn from these young, brilliant people. But understand we also have something to teach them. Yeah. And that's our wisdom and our experience.
I think that's an amazing perspective. I think that your knowledge, what you've done in the industry is so valuable and so important. Like we need it and we need it in the beauty schools and we need it everywhere. So I'm so thankful. I know we could talk for another 2 hours. I have so many more questions, but thank you so much for being here with us. And thank you for giving us our time. And where can we follow you?
So you can follow me through our website on summitsalon.com. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook. I'm not as active as one might because. So
you're not selfieing all the time on Instagram. That's what you're telling me.
No, I'm trying to disappear, if you will. I'm trying to create less demand for myself instead of more. So I'm, yeah.
Awesome. So where can we follow you on Instagram? What's your handle? Just Peter Mahoney.
Just P Mahoney. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah,
well, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
There is a whole new way to rise in the beauty industry. LEAD, Rolf's Global Institute, powered by L'Oreal Professional Products Division, is the world's first college degree program for beauty professionals. LEAD is higher education designed to expand your opportunities and open doors to greater success. Create a future with more financial freedom, more autonomy, more possibilities, and more impact. LEAD also provides scholarship opportunities to eligible students worldwide. It's more than a degree, it's a movement. This is where the future of beauty is headed. Be part of it. For more information, please visit leadinstitute.degree.